This computer. Ta-da! Hi guys, Kim
Hiya.
here.
Hi, Kim.
How you
Hi.
going?
Ginger.
We just thought we would make a little video and introduce you to Denise to you, I should say. What we're looking at is the 12 laws of karma, which we're going to be reading out, and then we're going to be discussing each one. Anyway, so the first one is whatever we put into the universe will come back to us. Do you agree with that statement?
Yes.
Yes, it's our echo.
Yeah, that's right. That's a great way to describe it, actually. Yeah.
Okay, so it's a little bit ambiguous because it's whatever you put into the universe will come back to us. So, say for instance, I put in a painting and I sell it. How is that going to come back to me?
Well,
If you,
if your intention was to sell it for money, then it would come back in that way. And the person receiving it would obviously appreciate the effort that you made, or they wouldn't have purchased it.
and it also speaks to your intention for why you painted that in the first place,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
What is your intention? What do
yeah,
you want to see grow from that, or as a result? What do you want to get back from that? Right.
yeah,
So our intentions are so important. Are key here, I think,
yeah. I
in
also think
terms of
I also think with paintings, and I mean, I've talked about this stuff before, but I also feel with paintings and things that the energy of where you're at, or the energy of the meaning of the thing when you painted the thing, actually you can actually sense that. So if you sit in a room with a painting that's been painted by a particular person, it'll have a dynamic. It might have. It doesn't always have. It may have a dynamic energy or a dynamic feeling to it. I've got a painting. I didn't paint it, but I've got a painting in my house, and it's huge, and it's just around the corner there, but I can't show you because the camera won't stretch that far. But every time anybody walks in, they go, "Oh my God, I love that painting." And it's like their initial impact. They walk in the house and that's what they see. So obviously
feeling it.
when the person painted it, they must have put an intent in it, or they must have felt like, oh my God, at the time when they painted it, and therefore other people, it's a reflection for people.
Yeah, it's an expression of energy.
Okay.
It's like your fingerprint. It's a part of who you are. I know a lot of artists who are uncomfortable selling because of that, because it's such a personal expression of energy.
Mhm.
I don't know. Have you guys ever done painting or anything?
Yeah,
I'm
I
about a
do.
kindergarten. I'm a kindergarten painter. I have fun.
I like to play around. So
Abstract.
Okay.
abstract, yeah.
I'm not. I actually didn't learn to paint till I was about 50. It was Paula that taught me.
It's
Um,
high on my list. I want to
um,
do it. I want to do it really well, though.
it absolutely,
I'm not very great at it.
yeah. But if you go to a painting school, right, an art school or something, you get in there and you go, oh my God, this is actually really easy. This is how you do
Mhm.
water. Or if you just watch you know how I shared some YouTube videos with you in relation to sharing the screen and just sharing that, like, this is how you do clouds, or this is how you paint water. And
Right.
Sure.
it's like, oh my God, really? That's
Yeah.
actually really easy. Um,
Mm.
I mean, I could share the screen and demonstrate, but I don't need to. All right, because it's off subject. So, two, the law of humility. One must accept something in order to change it.
Hmm.
Um. Oh,
Acceptance. So they're saying humility and is acceptance. So
yes.
that's their interpretation. I would say acceptance is important. Yeah.
So, the law of humility, one must accept something in order to change it. I suppose so, because in accepting it, what you're actually doing is you're bringing it forefront to your consciousness, and you're actually recognizing it, be it a problem or a situation, or but you'd have to actually recognize that it was there in order to be able to change it, because changing anything would have to be an active pursuit, wouldn't it?
Yes.
You,
Yeah.
you don't,
You'd have to have a consciousness about it.
Yeah.
Humility, I'm not sure if that word fits for me, but the acceptance
Yeah,
of,
I agree with that. Yeah, yeah. But the humility is, yeah, I can see the two being very similar in vibration anyway, right?
yes,
But I do prefer the word acceptance because it's seeing fully and truthfully what's there in front of you and making the decision whether that is what you want or not, right? And if you want it, okay, fine. If you don't want it, how are you going to change it? Start moving towards that direction
mhm,
to change it so that you can manifest and create that which you do. But until you accept that things are the way they are, maybe you're not happy with the way things are. You've got to acknowledge it. You got to look at it, right, for what it is
yeah,
before you fully change it. I think that we have things sometimes that happen to us, things we experience that are coming at us all the time. And they keep coming at us because we don't recognize it. We don't accept that this is the way it is. And if we do accept that this is the way it is, it's like, oh, well, this is the way it's always going to be. Right. But we have the power to change it once we acknowledge what that thing is in all of its light and all of its vibration. Right.
Okay. All right. You ready for the next one? Oh, should I be writing these down? As like,
well, I'm
I've
writing
been
them
taking
do.
down.
notes, but yeah.
Should I?
My mind is going in two directions right now because of the 12, it being 12 and the 12 houses of the zodiac, and they each have an I am statement. I can't help but notice that so far they're reflecting. So the first house is I am, and we had said that that was our echo, the law of karma, our echo. So yes, that's what we are. That's what the seed that we planted has now been brought to fruition. Here I am. And then humility, accepting that second house, the statement is I have. So I have acceptance. I've accepted my lot, you know, and that's the high priestess energy also. So the energy of the magician and the high priestess. The first one was the magician, I am, whatever we choose to be. That's our echo.
Right. I'm going to write them down.
Should
So
I, you want me to keep highlighting those two as we go through them to see if there's any similarities?
yeah, sure.
Oh, yeah,
I'm
definitely.
just
Yes,
doing it
please.
automatically. I
Yes.
can't help it.
Yeah. No, it's deeper
Yeah.
insight, so we need it, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Whatever we put into the universe will come back to us. That was the first one. You want to make that bigger? Should I make that print bigger? How
Excuse
about
me for 1 second.
36?
Sure.
About 36. Is that too big? 28 then. Whatever we put into the universe will come back to the universe will come back to us.
So the echo, I am, it's the seed that we planted.
Right. 2 is the law of humility.
Yes.
I don't know what the first one was called. I must have missed that.
It was the law of karma.
Yeah.
Was it?
Um,
Yeah, the first one must have been the law of karma. Okay. So the law of karma, whatever we put into the universe will come back to us. The law of humility, and that was one must accept something in order to change it. Oh. Sorry, you're watching me chat typing
No, that's okay.
in order to change it. All right. The third one is the law of responsibility. Have I read this one out to you yet?
No, no, I interrupted. Go figure.
Okay, so the law of responsibility says we must take responsibility for what is in our lives.
yes, I agree 100% with that. I think that's kind of along the lines of the law of humility too and acceptance, right?
Law of responsibility. So it's whatever we think, and that would be the third statement of the zodiac.
No,
And so to take responsibility, we can only take responsibility for what we perceive.
law of responsibility. We must take responsibility for what is in our lives. No, because it's actual reflection, which is in my mind. I'm not saying that I'm right,
Oh,
right?
yes, I hear.
But
Yes.
in my mind, everything that's actually in our lives is there as a reflection, like Plato's cave stuff, you know, like
Mhm.
like it's not obvious to it because it's just a shadow of the reason that it's there. But the vast majority of stuff that's in our lives is there for us to experience from or to grow from. So so I completely agree with that. We must take responsibility for what is in our lives because everything that's in our lives is our responsibility. So you
Mhm.
go, well, why is that there? Why do I need that there? What's the purpose of that? Even if it's a friendship or a you know, I mean, it sounds a bit callous, you know, the purpose of a friendship, but the purpose of a friendship is actually to make you feel warm and cuddly and safe and secure and happy. And I mean,
Supported and loved and accepted.
yeah, it's not. I mean, the purpose of a relationship isn't to make you feel hostile and aggravated. And so then, if you've got that there, then it's our responsibility to take responsibility for having that there.
Mm.
Yes,
But
And if we break the word down to responsibility, what does it mean? It really translates into your ability to respond,
yeah,
right?
yeah,
To respond to what's around you.
yeah,
And I keep coming back to this is very much related to acceptance, right? The second law of humility.
I agree.
Uh,
It's what we have and it's what we know. And this responsibility is about what we think and what we believe. I feel what we think and what we believe and what we've manifested with those thoughts and beliefs. So in the physical, we're seeing the manifestation of those thoughts and beliefs because it builds our experience. It creates our experience.
right.
So to take responsibility for our experience is that's very that's the direction we're going,
That's what
I
mm,
feel.
that was what my book was about. Basically, it was
Yeah.
about the reflection we made, the journey of towards self responsibility,
Well, and your
towards
channel too, Kim, we, me, like just seeing that
yeah,
reflection and knowing
yeah,
that it is about how I show up
yeah,
or don't show up.
yeah.
So the law of focus.
So
yeah.
essentially, it's kind of, I suppose, it's a bit selfish in a way because it's bringing everything back to self. But
It,
it's not
That's where it
really,
all comes from, right? It
yeah,
all comes
yeah,
from self,
the
right?
one.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but
that's right.
it sounds like you're being selfish, but you're actually not because you're actually sharing the
Yeah.
insights in order to make a better life for yourself, in order to improve your life, anybody's life, you know?
Well,
Yeah.
so many of us blame others, where, wait, when do we do mirror work? Like a lot of people talk about mirror work, self-reflection. How did I create this pop-up world?
Mm,
What am I doing that, I keep finding the same people with different, it's all the same. Why am I attracting this to me? What
mhm,
is it about me? Eventually, hopefully, we get to that point and start to do that reflecting and taking responsibility.
mhm.
Great.
Right. So the next one is Laura focus, right? Now, what I would like to write, what I would like to type here is where your focus goes, grows, whatever you're focusing on amplifies.
I agree.
That's what I would say that means. But this says we cannot think of two different things at the same time. So I'm going to put my own
It's
interpretation on it because I don't agree with
the
what's
law
written.
of focus. We can't put our, well, but it's
Two
natural
things.
for us to have our attention on two things.
That's why
But
I don't think that that's correct.
but the challenge is for us to become uber focused on what we do want and have an awareness of what is. So we know that we are the yin yang, we are the dark and the light. But what we give our attention to grows, right?
That's what I
So if
agree.
we focus, it's the same as trying to take a photo. You can take a panoramic, but it's so much like if you focus in on one thing, it's a much more descriptive, I don't know. I don't know if that made sense or not, but and focus, oculus, like ocular, it's but what we put our eye on. What's our eye on?
And the
ION. ION.
I
What's
know.
our energy? Our
Yeah.
focus
Ion.
is our energy, the ions. What's our ion?
What's our
Ocular.
eye on? What's eye? The eye. The eye is
Yeah.
always what we're seeing.
Yeah.
Mm. So also I'd like to say that where our focus goes grows, and I know this might be beginner's stuff, right? But I sometimes fall back into that trap of focusing on the problem over and over and over again.
Mhm.
Thinking about the problem. I think about the problem. I think about the problem. How can I solve this? How can I solve this? How can I solve this? And I've got to catch myself and think, no, no, Kim, stop focusing on the problem. And then even like jumping to the solution doesn't help. Like focusing on the solution doesn't help. What helps is focusing on the idea that it's already solved,
Yes.
Yeah,
but not
right.
And
not thinking about what the solution's going to be, just imagining it as already solved, like letting it go.
yeah, and being prepared to say yes when it comes knocking. I think that that's a challenge for so many of us because we don't always speak worthy thoughts, and oh, I'm not very good at this. I'm not worthy, like this kind of thing. If that's how we're thinking, it's our core beliefs. I feel that um, we repeat these habits of doing what we've always done, and we've been conditioned to think about the dark side. Like the newspaper's not full of good news, you know. We were conditioned to check it every day, multiple times a day. And so, but we don't have to keep doing that anymore. And there's that focus word again. What do we want to give our attention to? Because at the end of the day, we can't control other people. We can only control our thoughts. So to just accept, backing up into the words, right? Accept where they're at and accept where we're at and, wish them well. You do you, boo, right? Like we have no control over that.
Mm,
And when it comes to focus, sorry, I'm hearing an echo. Okay, it's gone. When it comes to focus too, like you can't serve two masters. Where's your focus? Is it in, things you don't want it? I call it darkness, in the dark negative stuff, things, problems and issues and trauma and drama and all this stuff. Or do you want to focus on the results, on the solutions, which
Mm.
is the light, the positive, right? And we have all, since birth, been um, taught to focus, always go worst case scenario. Something's coming up. Our minds go right there. We
mm,
think worst case scenario. We
mm,
get focused on that. It holds us in that energy. And the whole time we're recreating more and more of that, feelings, those feelings that are keeping us stuck in that place. We
Mm.
focus on the light that will pull us out of that. We focus on the positive stuff, the solutions, understanding that it's already done. I know that's hard for a lot of people to wrap their heads around, but energetically it's all done already, right? We're just stepping into the place physically as time moves on. Everything around us is already created, right? It's just what are you going to focus on, and what you focus on is where you're going to end up going,
that's
right?
right.
Where
What
it's
you
going to
focus
take you.
goes right. Yeah, I agree. I agree. All right. So the next one is the law of here and now. We cannot be present if we are looking backwards.
That's for sure.
Yeah, yes, I agree with that 100%. And the now, being in the now is where we create. This is home base, right?
Yeah.
This is the clean slate. We let go of the past, we let go of the future. We focus on the now. Where do we want to go from here, right? It's where the bulk of our good creations, truly what I call good creations, positive creations, really truly come from. Our intentional creations is probably a more accurate word to use. So when we're intentionally creating in that way, we're keeping our minds in the light. We're creating more and more light in our lives when we focus there, right? So the focus is so important. But you're right, Kim, we do that though. We know this stuff, but when darkness comes knocking, sometimes it's easy to forget some of the stuff we know, right? When the darkness starts to get kind of thick and heavy. And so we revert back to our old habits. But we do, and you do too. You've pulled yourself right back out of that after you've been in it for a bit. We pull ourselves back up, stand in the light again, focus on what we do want rather than what we don't want. It's always pulling ourselves out of that negative frame of mind, the negative thinking, right? When we go there, that's when we're serving darkness. That's when we're serving negativity. And that's when we're creating more of that stuff. So that's why the focus is so important.
Yeah.
Where's the mind at? Everything comes from the mind, right? So if you don't have focus and you're focused in the right place, you're going to notice that your life is not where you want it to be. And as you focus more into the positive side of things, aspects, you're going to see, if you know this is coming for you, it's done, it's happening, you're going to see that materialize, maybe slowly, sometimes quickly in your life. But it's up to us to sit back and be patient too, because patience is a big one when it comes to manifesting the things that we want, right? It's
Mhm.
easy to get irritated and upset, say, oh, this stuff doesn't work. But when people push, you guys know this, when people push through it, they find that light eventually. As long as they stay on that path, it will come, right?
Mhm.
Mhm.
And but we have been taught to put so much faith in the negative, in the dark, right? Because that's what so many people have experienced through most of their lifetimes. They feel that that's all there is to look forward to, right? But they're just they're a lot of people just aren't focusing where they should be focusing on the positive. And I think that's why people are having so many struggles. One of the reasons why people are having so many struggles in life, feeling lost, feeling like things just don't work out for them. And so much of it has to do with what's going on in the mind, right? Their
I
attitudes
agree.
toward themselves and the world at large,
I
right?
agree, but I also think that a lot of it is to do with their own integrity and the fact that they're not being truthful and honest with themselves. If they
Everyone,
were truthful and honest with themselves in relation to what drives them or what their motivations are or what they really like, that but people don't know. I mean, this sounds awfully like, and I'm sure I could apply it to myself to a greater degree as well. I don't know a lot of the time what's embedded in me in relation to making choices. So, like, for instance, I might go for, I went for an interview for a job yesterday, right? And I might be focusing on really, really putting my set self forward for this position and really being the best person that I can be. But do I want the job? You know what I mean? Like,
That's what it
shouldn't
really comes down to. It's not that you can't do it, but do you want to? Because if we're doing something that we don't want to do, then we're not being of service to ourselves.
that's what I'm trying to say.
I do think it's important for us to find our stream, our flow that, feeds it all. We can't be out of alignment. If we're hearing get out of here every time you pull into your workplace, then it's probably a good idea to get out of there.
Yeah,
And literally, like it's toxic for us to stay in those places. If now, I want to go back to the here and now for a moment, though, because I think oftentimes people like the past for me is a source of depression. When you sit in the past, you get depressed. And when you spend too much time in the future, you get what I call anxiety. But the here and now is a space of creation. And it's the only thing that we really have control of. And to be honest with ourselves, what is it that I want right now? And want and need are, I think pretty closely intertwined.
I don't
No?
know because I think the thing is, I mean, I could want a new bicycle, but do I need one?
Well, that's it. And so there's the belief, do I need it or, do I want it? Do I need it? Will I use it? Like I ask myself these questions when I go shopping. I could easily, fill the buggy with stuff I can't possibly use in this lifetime. How much stuff do I actually need?
And
Just because I can doesn't mean I have to.
yeah, exactly. Yeah. So I don't think that want and need are the same thing at all.
Hmm.
All right. So
I I
Right.
think if you need something, that's what, that would be pretty high on my list of things that I'd be wanting in that moment. If I was without something and if I needed it, I'd be wanting that first.
Yeah, but that would be needing first and then wanting it because you need it.
Yes, yeah,
Not
I think that they're
not
pretty closely
that
related.
maybe if you put need first, I have to agree with
Yeah,
you.
yeah, 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 yeah,
All right. So
yeah.
6, the law of patience and reward. The most valuable rewards require persistence.
The law of patience and reward.
The law of patience and reward. Interesting, patience is also patience.
Hmm.
Like if you think of a patient in a hospital or a patient in a waiting room, or
I don't think too many of us are feeling patient with that whole setup anymore.
no. So the law of
We've lost
patience
our
and reward.
patience.
We lost our patience. The law of patience and reward. The most valuable rewards require persistence. 7. Most
Well, that
so
that sort of ties back to focus, putting our focused attention, persisting and hmm,
most valuable rewards require. I don't know whether they require persistence. I want again talking about job interviews, but I once went for a job interview and I'd applied for it like the same job about 5 times. And I went for the interview and I kept getting through to the final stage of it and not getting the job. And I shouted to the girl in the interview and said, "Why is that? Why do I keep getting to the final stage and not getting through?" And she said, "Well, I applied for it 12 times and then I got it."
Oh,
She said they like people that apply and apply and
that's,
apply and apply.
yeah,
Thought, oh, interesting.
that's patience and diligence right there.
Right. So,
the law
that's,
of patience and rewards.
yeah, that changed the numbering of the whole thing. No, and I just did that. So I'm going to leave that because it's made it all wrong. Because that was 1 and that was 2 and that was 3 and that was, you see how it's changed the whole bloody thing? God, I'm going to be here for the rest of my life. 2,
Technology is
I know, 3,
fun.
3, 4.
Really, just be right
5.
back.
Was
Right.
that the sixth one? I think it was
That
six.
was the 6th one. So we
That
didn't have,
was the sixth one. So that's the I
we didn't,
analyze statement of Virgo, and that's ruled by Mercury. So that's the sixth house, Virgo. I analyze here and now, and that's exactly what we do. Though I also think it's important for us to learn the lesson that we have in the dark. So while we say yes, be in the light, I think that there can be a sort of a toxic positivity if you refuse to see what's dark about us. Because I do think that we all have a darkness to us. And then if we resist it, it will persist. Talk about persistence. What we resist persists. And I do believe that. So I think it's important for us to spend time with that shadow. People call it shadow work. So to be um, not invest, not like, I don't want to say we got all got to get dark and, you know, but I am saying that it's important for us to say, well, why? Why does this keep coming up? What is the lesson that I'm being asked to learn from this experience? What is this trying to teach me? When you think of the planets, I think of Saturn as being the great teacher. That's black, that's the darkness. You know, what is the lesson that we're being asked to learn in the here and now? How did we manifest this in our pop-up world?
exactly. Ask myself that all the time. I have
Yeah,
a situation in front of me and I think, well, what is it I'm meant to be learning from this? Why does this keep on coming back? Why am I
yeah.
having this problem?
I,
Acknowledging the darkness as a great teacher and not resisting the darkness because it will persist for us.
and it's also, if you think about it, compare it to like going to school, when you don't get the, when you don't pass the test or get the lesson, you have to repeat. So when we have challenges coming at us again and again and again, it's because we're not getting it the first time. So we have
Yeah.
another experience and another experience until we finally do get it and have that breakthrough, right? That's just been my experience so far in the last 12 years or so.
Mhm.
But I believe that it's very important to like I've been having so many lessons in patience this year alone. And I'm finally getting it. I mean, every year I've had lessons in patience, but I'm finally getting it this year, right? Because I've always been a very impatient person. And that was the same thing. Like, why does this keep coming back? Like, I'm supposedly doing all the right things, but it keeps coming back. But it comes back at you too, so that you can start asking those questions. You start seeing a pattern, go, okay, there must be some reason I'm not seeing why these experiences keep coming back. Or maybe the same personality keeps coming back to you in different bodies, right? People have issues with certain people will have issues with narcissists, for instance.
Mhm,
If they don't learn the lesson from the first relationship, they're going to have it again and again and again, right?
mhm.
But yeah, these things keep coming back to us for a good reason. It's not just, like trying to irritate us or life trolling us or anything like that. It's trying to teach us,
I
right?
agree.
I
I
just want
agree. And
I
it
just
won't stop until we give it the attention that
Yeah,
it's demanding.
yeah,
And
I
it'll manifest in a number of ways.
that's right.
I
Yes,
think
exactly.
I think narcissistic relationships go with people with low self-esteem or
Yes,
high vulnerability for codependency.
I agree 100% with that. Yeah,
So if you are having a repeated experience of codependency, then look at your self-esteem. Look at why you're
yeah,
suffering from low self-esteem and look at whether or not that's true. And also look at the codependency issue. Are you
right.
not being self-responsible? Is that the reason that you're attracting these narcissists into your life? That type of thing. Anyway, that's irrelevant because we're not talking
And
about that.
narcissists will make a beeline to people like that. Their
Yeah.
energy just pulls them, just like a magnet, pulls them to that person with low self-esteem, right? I've
Mm,
seen this so many times. It's usually like, you know, at least, with my experience with my clients, I've been seeing a lot of this. Usually it's the woman who is the naive one, or maybe low self-esteem as well, lacks confidence. And these people, like narcissist, like a moth to a flame, will just be attracted to them. And then she's going, oh my God, he likes me. Because, she's amazed that anybody likes her for the
yeah,
most part, right?
yeah, yeah.
And so she's happy that, oh my God, he likes me. And,
Mm,
and he talks to me, he says the right things, and he makes me laugh. And then they get caught up, and next thing you know, anyway, it's just, next thing you know, there's lots of misery for that person with a low self-esteem. But the narcissist is usually quite fed, right? In those relationships. That's for sure.
Well, this is an interesting time because I do still see this as being a tower year. I think narcissists are having a great awakening as we speak, like people that we describe as being narcissistic. I do see the narcissist word being overused, and I feel that there's a great wound there that creates this kind of an energy within these individuals, and we may not be able to recognize it, and we may never be able to get to it because I feel that it could be a past life thing or it could be a this life thing, but it's been the source of this has been blocked.
Yeah,
And it's a painful experience for them also because they cannot be where others are. And now I guess if we expect them to be the bad guy, they're going to be the bad guy.
true.
Somebody's got
Yeah,
to do it. If we think that everybody's out to get us, then everybody will be out to get us.
yeah,
We create the duality, see.
yeah. Okay.
And if you're with somebody who, oh, here they come again, and they think I'm still out to get them, well, that's not a very good feeling either. You're going to start to play that part.
Yeah. Okay.
So
So
again, self-responsibility
yeah, come back to it.
and love for the narcissist also, because I see us all as children, and they've been wounded in some way, I feel.
yeah, I agree 100% with that. Yeah. They are wounded, right? That's narcissism is kind of their protector. They're what protects them from being hurt by the world, you know?
That's
You
right.
take it even further and say, you know, it's kind of like can't beat them, join them sort of thing, right? You know, you get hurt, and instead of you know, finding your way into a more positive life, more positive frame of mind, they succumb. It's easy to succumb to the darkness and become that, right?
I
That's what a
agree.
narcissist. It's a protective layer around them.
Well, and it's something you have to watch for because, life is always giving us lessons and challenges, right? And,
Mhm.
I'm not giving my power away that easily. You know,
They
you're
can be
not gonna
quite clever.
you're
Yeah,
not gonna get the same reaction from me that you once did.
yeah,
Yeah, and that's a very powerful, like we're seeing a lot of empaths becoming super empowered empaths and teachers and lights in this space where we come through what people are calling the Great Awakening. You know, I do think that we're waking up from a deep sleep. We've been like under a spell.
yes, yeah.
Okay, so the next one I don't agree with. So I don't not agree with the law of creation, but I don't agree with their interpretation of it. So it says the law of creation, life does not happen by itself. We need to make it happen. Now, I don't actually think that that's 100% correct. Um, again, where our focus goes grows, whatever we're focusing on amplifies. But I do think that there is synchronistic events that can make life happen for us without us putting any energy into it. There can be like pointers that, like the law of creation, it says life does not happen by itself. We need to make it happen, right? So it that statement to me is like if you want a new sofa, then you have to go out and either buy it or build it or make enough money to buy it, right? You agree?
Yeah.
So, but that's not entirely true because we know from laws of manifestation that if we wanted a new sofa, that we can envisage that, and then we could be at a party and somebody can say, "Hey, I've got a sofa. I've got this sofa. Do you want this sofa?"
Yes.
And you go, "Oh yeah, yeah, that would be great." And they go, "Okay, well, I'll deliver it this afternoon." So did we make that happen, or did it just happen?
Well, I think
I
my
believe.
interpretation, sorry, Denise, my
No,
interpretation of the we make it happen is that we're saying yes.
mhm.
We're saying yes. That's what I said earlier. We're not prepared to receive it. So many of us will say no when it comes knocking because it's our habit to say no, you know.
Maybe it's the ambiguous the way that this is written that I'm taking wrong, but
I
I
feel
don't
that, yeah.
I
I
don't
see that, yeah.
I don't think that we have to actually, you see, I used to think that if you wanted a holiday in Canada, then you'd have to go to work to earn the money.
Hmm.
I used to think like that, right? But now I think, well, if you want a holiday in Canada, you could be walking down the street and the ticket could fall out of the sky.
You
Mhm.
never know.
Yeah, yeah.
So,
So listen, I've had a very interesting experience here. Quite a few. And yeah, you just never know. But I think it's important for us to say yes. So the
right,
law of creation is about us saying, yes, I'm open and ready to receive.
yeah.
And when we receive something that we like, say, oh yes, more please, thank you,
Mm,
and walk as though we've already got it.
mm,
And then suddenly we find it because again, we're magnetic.
mm,
So if we're walking around magnetized to the idea that it'll never happen, then we're going to get a lot of evidence to support that.
mm, mm.
Mm.
Okay.
So I think it's about saying yes.
So have you got anything to say about that, Denise?
Well, yeah, I think what you said earlier about, you know, you could go out and somebody, you know, suddenly somebody offers you that couch that you want or that, you know, ticket for Canada falls out of the sky. I think when those things happen, it's because, like you said, Ginger, we're already in that energy mentally, prepared to say yes, prepared to receive, right? The blockages are not in place to prevent that thing from manifesting in our reality, right? But this comes back again to how we've all been taught to think negatively, because, or worst case scenario, because when we're thinking that, it's very difficult for us to manifest anything that brings us joy, right? So I think you've got it. Yes, I agree. The law of creation, life does not happen by itself. It's interactive with us, right? So whether we go out and take physical action to get a job and make that money for that trip to Canada, or whether we go into the inner kingdom and start keep the mind in the positive place, knowing that we are well connected enough that with the world, with the universe itself, that these things are going to flow to us, then we'll go to a party and yeah, we'll get that couch, right? So it doesn't necessarily mean, to me, like this what their interpretation of this law of creation makes, to me, it feels like what they're saying is you got to go up and take some action, physical action, to do something about it, right? And
Mm.
I just don't agree with that.
Yeah, I
How
don't
many
agree with
times
that.
have any of you been just, suddenly wanting something, and suddenly you didn't
Yeah,
even
no,
weren't even thinking about it, and
I know.
boom, there it is, right?
Yeah,
In
yeah,
miraculous or very unexpected ways too,
yeah,
right?
yeah,
Well, especially if we try to get our mind in a state of acceptance. Okay, I've asked, I've said yes. If we ask and it's given, I'm ready to receive, I'm open. And then we just let go and get on with our day and watch as it just simply manifests in some weird way. You'll
Mhm.
see it on your news feed if you're
That's
scrolling.
right. Yeah.
You'll stumble upon it, like every sign suddenly will start to talk about, what it is that you're looking for. Like the universe will start to guide you towards it all day long.
Yeah. Yeah, it's kind of like moving back into the observer mode, right?
Hmm.
Once you've got your energy where it needs to be, sit back and watch what's going on around you. Not
Right.
just the physical stuff, but the energetic stuff as well. So important that we miss it. We miss it. It's right there. I missed it my whole life until I started being able to see this stuff. And
no,
now
I
it's
know.
more obvious. Energies are more obvious to me than the physical reality now because of it, right?
Yes.
Um, but yeah, I believe getting the energy and the mind, particularly, in the right place to create is where it's all at, right? We can hope and wish and dream and everything else, but that's not going to bring it to us. We can go out and enslave ourselves in a horrible job for 40 years. That's not going to bring it either, for the most part, right? At least it
Definitely.
won't bring anything that brings true happiness, true joy in your life, right? So important to keep the mind clear, keep the mind in that positive light as much as we can, understanding that we are connected. We are not alone. We never have been alone. We cannot be alone. And Ginger, you probably heard me say this a million times. Even the word alone spells all one. Understanding your connection
Yeah,
is what changes everything for you. Again, it's coming from the mind. You swift the perspective over here, the
Hmm.
whole world will change for you, right?
Well,
But
there's
we're
always an opposite. So where's the mirror? Check the mirror. Don't be afraid of the dark. That's where we
right.
create.
can
We
I?
really do create in that dark space.
Right,
And what are we creating? Whatever we put our focused attention on.
I'm just going to show you something I thought was hilarious. So there's a
I love
video,
this.
right, of a kangaroo walking in front, jumping in front of a car, right, and it's on a windy road, and there's roadworks on the road, right. So they come up to this roadworks, right. They come
They
up
were a
to
little
this,
nervous driving. You
yeah,
shared this with me. I thought it was great. They were a little nervous driving because, like, they didn't want to hurt him, so they stayed behind him.
right. They stayed behind him
Although,
all the way, right. But right at the
Yeah,
end, right, it's only 1 minute long, so keep on watching it for a second.
yeah.
So there's traffic lights, right, because there's roadworks, and the traffic lights on red.
oh,
So the
is he going to
kangaroo
stop?
stops at the red traffic light. Oh, it didn't do it. Sorry, it missed it. The
Go all the
kangaroo
way.
stops at the red traffic light, right? And then the traffic light changes to green, and it goes when it changes to green.
Oh my gosh. Yeah,
But
it's
it
been
didn't.
down that road before.
But
Oh,
it
it's too bad.
actually it actually obeyed the traffic light, and I thought that was
Right on
hilarious.
time. It was
And
hilarious, Kim.
yeah,
It's too
but
bad they didn't get to see the end of that. It was
yeah,
very cool.
I know. I don't know why.
No, he stopped on a dime and he was like just waiting his turn and it turned green and off he went. It was pretty funny.
He obeyed the traffic light.
You
Anyway,
can't
so
make this stuff up.
Smart, so smart. Yeah.
thought that was clever. Right. So sorry, I'll go back to what we're talking about. I just got distracted for a minute.
It's okay.
Kangaroos are distracting. Who doesn't love a kangaroo? I've
Oh,
seen some of them get when they're really aggressive and
yeah,
they
they
puff
do.
out and
They
everything
do.
and they're
Yeah, they get
boxing
really.
people. Oh yeah, they can be
Yeah,
pretty mean.
I know.
Yeah.
I was on a holiday at a place called God, what was it called? Iwasaki Resort or something. Iwasaki. It's up at Brockhampton. I was with my father and my mother. It's years ago. It's before I was even married. So I must have been in my early 20s. And there was this great big kangaroo that used to escort me to breakfast every day because it was like
Oh,
in an open place. And the kangaroo great big kangaroo, used to meet me at the door and escort me across to breakfast at the breakfast room. And my husband was with me as well, I think. But one morning, my father came over to meet me, and the kangaroo didn't like it one bit, and it beat the shit out of my dad.
Oh my
But
oh
God.
it boxed
no.
him. Yeah, it was a big one, and it was boxing him. Didn't like it. He was jealous. Decided that it was my dad was trying to hone in on its girlfriend.
Oh no.
Yeah.
So, all right. So the law of growth is when we change ourselves, our lives change too.
Oh, I agree. We were
Yes.
talking about that earlier, Denise. We were sharing about how we read books and then 12 years later you read it again.
Yeah,
It's not the same book. Our
Right.
perspective has changed sometimes
Yeah.
subtly.
absolutely. You can even have a fiction, and it's got a
Yeah.
different ending, and you
Yeah.
go in.
Yes.
No, he didn't die in the end. I don't remember that.
We lie to ourselves all the time. I know I do.
So, anything to say about the law of growth? When we change ourselves, our lives change too, or can we take that as a given?
Well,
That's a
I
given.
can attest to that 100%, just in my own experiences, right? You know, boy, up until I was 47, my life, I suffered from chronic depression. I was diagnosed with MS. I was bedridden for 6 years, and then I had a near-death experience. And then after that, everything, my whole outlook, my whole perspective changed. I was godsmacked at the idea that this whole other world was all around us. It's not up there or over there, it's right here. And when I understood that, I also understood my own power at the time, who I am, the connection I have, not just me, we all do.
Mhm.
Um, it changed who I am on a fundamental level. And boy, oh boy, my life has been a polar flip from negativity into the positive, right? In all ways, every single aspect of my life has changed for the better because of that shift in perspective, right? So talk about growth. And you know, I believe this is something that is very valid when it comes to, you know, change your outlook, change your perspective. We don't have to die to get there to figure it out, right? Everybody has this information right there, and the ability to grow, the ability to tap in to beyond this physical realm, right?
Right.
And find out who they truly are. Because just understanding that, seeing your own inner light can change everything. You know,
Mhm.
it's like walking in a dark room, scary room, and flipping up the switch, and suddenly there's nothing but light in there. That's kind of how my mind was, how everything worked at that point, right? And since then, everything has been changing, and I'm not even done yet. I'm only, gosh, not even halfway there. So there's so much that has been changing, and one of the biggest things that has changed for me is I don't just believe that magic is real. I know it because I experience it. I live it, right? I know miracles are real. I know what's possible.
Right.
Um, so yeah, changing ourselves will make a huge, incredible difference. And not just changing, you know, some people will think, oh, well, go get a new hairstyle then. oh God, there's so much more to it, right? It's just, you know, what it is. It's about asking to find this type of growth, to find this kind of change, to see this kind of true light. You got to pop that lid off your box that you've grown up in and just let that light stream in. Look out and say, what else is here? What world is beyond this one? Because we don't realize living in this world of physicality that there's so much more than just what our eyes are picking up. Our eyes pick up illusion. It picks up the hologram. It picks up, you know, the simulation, I guess you could say.
The
Um,
lies we tell ourselves.
exactly. It picks up the unreal world, is what I call it now. This world is nothing but smoke, mirrors, shadow, and mist compared to this other world beyond us.
I
I
guess
cannot wait to go there permanently. And that's not a sad statement. Ginger, you heard me say this a million times probably. Um, because I know when I saw that, it was like, oh my gosh, I had to come back and live in a world of shadows. And I recognize that as you know, I'm growing in this world and changing. I'm understanding what this world is. It's nothing but you know, they say the whole world is a stage, right? That's the old way of saying it. Now I'm saying, you know, it's more like a simulation, this world that we're in. That's a whole other video, but I'm just going to leave that there now,
Well,
you
no,
know,
because we are the
right?
simulation. We
Right.
are, like I say, we are the illusion. We are the creators.
yeah,
We
but
are
that's
the authors.
really hard
Right.
to get your head around.
Sure is.
That is really, really deep, man. You know, like that's
But
like
then the law of growth, when we change ourselves, it's to say that we're consciously able to do that. You
I
know,
can
so if we can consciously make an effort to say, for example, lose weight, get that haircut, you know, get a different pair of shoes, see if that helps your back pain, you know, like just explore and be
Mm,
curious. The law of growth requires a little curiosity, I think.
I can
I
remember
agree.
being in a supermarket like 30 years ago, right? And there was a song playing, and I stopped with this like packet of something in my hand and went, bloody hell, that's profound. And what it was Michael Jackson singing, if you want to make the world a better place, take a look at yourself and make that change.
There it is.
The
But
man in the moon.
it hit
Right.
me, you know, like
Yeah.
I'm standing with this packet going, wow, that's really clever. You want to make the world a better place, take a look at yourself and make that change. And it makes absolutely no sense whatsoever on the surface. But when you go deeper, it makes complete sense.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely.
Right.
Yeah,
So 9 is the law of connection. And it is the past, the present, and the future are all connected.
I agree. The one, two, three. It's the Trinity, as I see it. It's the mother, father, child. It's what did we create when we put our energy in? What did we create when we come together?
I can remember I remember a time during COVID where I was doing some sort of analysis on something, and then suddenly my brain went, or my mind went pop, and I saw my life as this spider's web with this interconnected, you know, like a spider's web looks, it's all like little
Hmm.
pockets of little different things. And I could see how something that I'd learned back when I was 5 was relevant to now. Like that came in here, and then I could see this was connected to that, and this was connected to that, and I saw this web of interconnected reality. It was only fleeting, but I remember it blew my mind at the time. Okay, so Denise, have you got anything to say about that? The law of
I
connection, the
agree. It's all
past.
part of the same story, right? It's your story, and your
Right,
story isn't just one part of that. It's all three parts of that.
right.
It completes the story. It completes the book.
Okay.
So yeah, what's happened in the past, oftentimes what we do in the past is what, you know, we're going to see that show up in the present, and we're going to see that show up in the future at some point, where we're preparing what we're preparing for now. Will show up in the present, will show up in the future. So it's all connected to your story. You know, it's, you can't leave one part out because then you don't get the full story, right? So yes, I agree with the law of connection, definitely.
All right. Anything, Ginger, you got anything else to say about that?
No, I think it's, well, I haven't shared the statements of the zodiac, but this one is IC, which I find is quite interesting. So our ability to see the past, present, and future. Often we think that our future ability to see the future is compromised, but I feel it's only because we argue with ourselves. That other part of us says, nah, that can't be. But I do think that we're given opportunities to see what's ahead.
Okay.
Yeah, I agree.
And it is all happening at once, I feel.
See, I don't think that the future's been created whatsoever yet. I think that the future could change because of something that we've actually do in 5 minutes time from now.
Oh, yes,
Then the future could change because of that.
I
So
agree.
I don't think that the future is ever created. I mean, even if I make a commitment to build a house, it doesn't mean to say that that house is going to be built. It just means that I've made the commitment to do it.
Hmm.
But it's still all happening in the now.
It's all happening in the now. Well, in your mind, it's already done. So then essentially it's already done. You can sort of time travel to the future where how does it feel to be in that space? And, is it everything that you want? Is this what I desire? Asking yourself these big questions about, is this what I want to put my energy into? We may not see it come to fruition. It's kind of like planting a tree, knowing full well you're not going to see it bear fruit, you know, but you feel the need to plant the tree nonetheless.
Right. Yeah.
In this moment. In this moment, you want to plant the tree.
Yeah, but I mean, I'm again, this might be old information, but I've always been a little bit resistant to putting too much energy into the future because
Yes.
if you live your life like I'll be happy when, I'll be happy when I get that house, I'll be happy when I get the car, I'll be happy when I find a partner, I'll be happy when I get married, I'll be happy when I have children. That is forever sort of out there way in front of you thought. And then by the time you actually get to that milepost, you've actually forgotten that that was a milepost and you've moved up to the next thing that says, I'll be happy when. And I think that that's a terribly sad thing to do because you're never actually happy. You're
Oh, I
actually
agree.
always
You're
looking
not
forward.
you're not embracing what you could have right now.
Yeah,
Why can't you be happy right now?
yeah,
Get yourself into a state of gratitude, get yourself into a state of bliss. It's our responsibility. Nobody else is coming to do it for us.
exactly.
Yeah. And if I can just speak a moment for the past, present, and future, really it's about time itself. So the Big Bang Theory, apparently there was a big explosion and everything just blew out from this one source. Everything is already created in the physical, right?
Yeah,
There's nothing new under the sun, right?
yeah,
So what we do here as humans moving through time is our consciousness is the chariot. That's what brings us to the reality, to the present reality and the future reality that we want, right? So you want that couch, you want that trip to Canada. Well, you get your mind in the right place and be positive and do those things. All these other laws of creation, and you're going to find that you will pull your consciousness to those moments, right? So in other words, if you see everything that's ever been, ever will be as Polaroid photos, just a gazillion of them all around us, and you want to go there and you want to go there and you want to go there. Well, we have the ability to pull ourselves to whatever reality we want to go in, right? So really, when we're getting into past, present, and future and talking about time, it's a little bit more complex than just past, present, and future, because outside of this earth, time really doesn't exist the way we know it. Completely, it's a complete construct,
I
right?
agree.
yeah.
For
Agree.
us as physical beings,
I
because we
agree.
have physical bodies. So time is a necessity, right? In the physical realm. In the spirit realm, it's not a necessity at all. So everything energetically has already happened. And we just got to move ourselves into that place. Find the frequency that we need to dial to get there. Find the right dials on the car and Back to the Future and push those right buttons. And that will literally take us there. But it's all comes from understanding that we are, they speak of law of connection. At first, when I saw that, I was thinking, the connection to spirit, the connection to the all in the world, right? And I think that's part of it too. But we're talking here about time. And when we have the connection, our mind is connected where it needs to be, in the light, as I call it. The mind is there, the positivity, that you're going to achieve whatever it is you want to achieve. Then the obstacles are removed. You still have maybe little challenges, but they're nowhere near as what they were before you understood this concept of what time truly is, right? And how that everything is already existing in the physical and energetically as well. We just got to move ourselves there,
Mhm.
right?
Mm,
And we do that with the consciousness, because I believe everything comes from the consciousness, right?
I agree. So 10, the law of giving and hospitality, our behaviors should match our thoughts and actions. That's kind of what I was talking about earlier with regards to integrity and I don't know whether I mentioned this, but I think it's really, really, really important for us to mean what we say and say what we mean and do what we say. And, like
Yeah.
it's really important for us in our integrity, especially in this time. So our thoughts and actions relate to what we've actually said or what we actually mean.
It's so often not true though for people, it's like the energy doesn't match the words.
I know.
And I feel like we've all come to this time where we become more, we're able to identify ourselves in a much clearer way than we've ever been able to really tune in to what we are and who we are, what we need, what are our likes and dislikes. And does it matter if I show up for me? Yes. The law of giving and hospitality, our behavior should match our thoughts and actions. That doesn't always happen, and people think that they can, still do this. I feel very strongly that that's not tolerable for so many of us anymore. We're just not going to give our time to people that cannot be authentic in their thoughts and actions and show that kind of integrity.
No.
Maybe it's a personal thing for me. I don't know.
Oh, I couldn't agree more with that. Yeah. Yeah.
I think it's really important for people like you guys and me to be that, because I think that reflection is one of the things that clears up our own reflection in our pop-up world. I think that
Mhm.
makes the difference. If we are within our own integrity and if we are actually doing what we say we're going to do and meaning what we say,
Well,
that
and then
has
It's
to be
about
part of the
standing in your own
reflection.
integrity and authenticity too, right?
But
Um, you know, sorry, go ahead.
I know people recently have said to me, that that's what they like about me,
is
which,
that you have authenticity. Yeah.
yeah, that I'm authentic.
That to
And
me is the highest vibration.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And it's lovely. It's lovely that's acknowledged. Um,
Well, Kim, it wasn't just acknowledged. Let's face it. I was there with that call, and that person was like exuberant. So grateful for you in that moment to be so authentic.
mhm.
And maybe you're thinking about the other people, but I think you now know what I'm thinking of.
Yeah,
And that was acknowledged, and but in a really big way,
yeah,
like explosively happy,
yeah,
to be in your presence because that's so rare.
yeah.
And you were also very inspiring to that person, like holy moly, just lighting up all over the place. I'm just seeing the energy. But yes, it is inspiring, and it empowers people to stand in their own authenticity when they see you doing it, right?
Mm, yeah.
It's hard to
And
do that for some people, and I get it, right? This world is built on a foundation of
oh,
authenticity, right?
and
Well,
the other thing that we see clearly is that reward people who are not authentic get the rewards. People who are embezzling money from us get their money. They get to steal our money, and there's nothing that
mhm.
we can do about it. We see this again and again and again. That I've seen people who are totally wrong for something, but yet they're the ones that win that. And yet they're not the right, that person over there is far more suitable for like a house. Say there's a prize home, right? And you see the person that gets it and you think, oh well, they've got 6 houses already and they got this prize home. Like, really? That's doesn't seem, but that's just the way the universe works. The more people,
Well,
the more
because
houses that you have.
if we're in a state of wanting and
Yeah,
not acknowledging that we can
yeah,
go and get it,
yeah,
we'll always be in a state of wanting.
yeah,
Whereas the person that has it is very nonchalant about it and in
yeah,
that flow. And why wouldn't it flow to them?
yeah. Because it's just another house.
It's just an
It's
energy.
Yeah, yeah. I'm using really
We're
bad
magnetic,
examples tonight
especially our
today.
thoughts. Our thoughts are highly magnetized.
I don't know why I'm using such bad examples today, but I am. Anyway, all right.
No, I
So,
think you did. I think you did good.
okay.
There's just always another. I get to be the other side sometimes.
Okay. Did you do the, oh, shit. Did you do the number 10? What was number 10? What was the
Um,
zodiac of
oh, the
that?
number 10 would be I use. That's Capricorn.
Mm,
Law of giving and hospitality. Our behaviors should match our thoughts and actions. Well, I do see Capricorn as being pretty no nonsense, and it is the teacher. It is ruled by Saturn. It is the I would say the workaholic of the of the zodiac. It's the one that's I think most energized.
right. Okay, the next one is that was to be read out with a nose like that because it said up till. Sorry. You when I was
Okay,
throwing it
so
out
law of change. History
until
repeats itself. I agree with that.
um from it and change it back.
And we were just talking about this too when we were talking about patience as well, right? How
Yes.
things keep coming back until you figure it out.
Yeah. So the law of change, history repeats itself until we learn from it and change our path. So sometimes it's hard to identify or to recognize it as the same energy because it can look slightly different and look slightly different, but you realize along the way, hold on a second, I'm having the same experience. Why am I having this same experience? And sometimes when you change it, even you don't evict it, you just change the energy of it so it's less so and it's less so and it's less so. But I'm a very big believer in when you're working with these kind of really deep aspects of your own personality, when you're trying to morph your own pop-up world, when you're trying to morph your own personality so it reflects in your pop-up world, that a lot of it can be what I call, what word do I use? Um, it's like a learning, but it's over time. So an example would be I become aware that I use the word I use negative words too much. So I become aware that I use negative words too much. So the next time I use a negative word, I think, oh God, I shouldn't have done that. And then the time after, I go, oh God, I shouldn't have done that. And then the time after that, I remember before I say it. Then I use it again, then I use it again, and then eventually it becomes an awareness and it becomes actually seated in my consciousness. So sometimes it takes time for us to change those behaviors that are not beneficial.
I agree. It's through repetition that we learn new habits and or any kind of new skill. If you're trying to learn a new language, something you've never done before, it takes time. You're gonna do it and it's gonna really stink the first time.
Yeah.
It's gonna be like my artwork, my
Yeah.
painting, kindergarten. Yeah, I'm usually cooking while the family has got all the art supplies everywhere. I get the most amazing gallery on my refrigerator, but I'm cooking. Yeah, no, I think that that is very true, and I'm grateful to see that we have that opportunity to decide to move in a different way. But it's about making the decision to say, listen, this isn't working for me anymore. And we can't make that decision for other people. No matter how much we want change for them, it just doesn't manifest until they want it for themselves.
I agree, even though I coughed all the way through that.
Well, I picked a good time to talk a lot.
Denise, what are you going to say about that?
Well, I don't really have much more to add to that other than what you both have added so far. But I am excited about this significant law of significance and inspiration. We already
Okay.
hit on the inspirational part.
Okay.
But yeah, I'm excited to what is their interpretation of that?
The law of significance and inspiration rewards are a result of the energy and effort we put into it.
Yes, yes, I agree with that. Yes, I do.
Okay.
Just
So
speaking strictly from my own personal experiences, I've seen this manifest again and again and again, not just with me, but with my clients too, right? Um, um, putting, what's the word I'm looking for? Sorry, can you just move that back down a bit for a sec? I was just reading something.
can you
Okay.
still see that?
Oh yeah, that's much better. Yeah, I like this list much better. Okay. So the laws of significance and inspiration.
Rewards are a
Yes.
result of the
Yeah.
energy and effort we put into it.
Right. Yes. Because again, like we alluded to earlier, where energy goes, where focus goes, energy flows, right? So when we have our focus on the right place and on our efforts, what we want, we're going to see those and inspired to do so with connection, with feeling connected, with that feeling of positivity. We will find the rewards that we're looking for. And I don't like really using the words rewards because that seems to me like, oh, you did something good, so here's a treat, right?
You know.
To me, it's more about, the finer things in life that you dream of that will make you happy, that will make you feel more content, happy in the world, connected
Fulfilled.
to everything,
Yeah.
fulfilled. Yes, exactly, right? But the mind, again, we come back to the mind. The mind's in the right place, energy's in the right place. If the energy's in the right place, these things will manifest. End of story. That's just it's not even a belief, it's a knowing for me, right? At this point.
Okay. Ginger, what about you? Got anything to say about that?
I'm with I hear what Denise is saying. The rewards are the result of the energy and effort we put into it all day long. That's what we talk about. It's about like where our attention goes, our energy,
Mhm.
where our energy goes, our attention flows, or both ways really. Um, what is it that we want to harvest? So what is it that we're putting into the garden? What is it that we're trying to grow? Keep it very simple. But what do you hope for that seed? Like, what do you imagine the seed producing? And do you imagine it not producing something, or do you trust in the process? And if you give it the right conditions, and if you put yourself in the right space, yeah, rewards are a result of energy and effort that we put in.
Okay. All right. Well, I'm gonna stop recording now because we talked about the 12 laws of karma, and just wanted to say
Well,
thank you
and
very much.
interestingly, the 12th house is I believe.
Oh, you
So
didn't do the 12.
what is it that we believe about that? Yeah.
Right. What's the 12th
So
zodiac? What's the 12th?
that's Pisces.
All right. And what's the word? I feel.
I believe.
I believe. Right. So does that align with that? I
Law of
believe.
significance. Yeah, rewards are a result of the energy and effort we put into.
Okay. Yeah.
I think it kind of fits.
Yeah.
Significance and inspiration. What is it that we believe about ourselves? Are we significant? Will we be inspired? It is we have to make the effort. We can block it if we choose to. Alcohol, other addictions that keep us from tuning to our own higher guidance. Yeah, energy and effort.
All right. Well, I'm going to stop recording right now
Yeah.
if I can.
Thanks, ladies. It was
Thank you.
fun.
Thank you very much. Thanks, Denise.
Very insightful, Kim. Great
that was
idea.
good. It was good. I'll just stop recording.
Hope to do it
Stop.
again.
I've resumed and I've stopped sharing. Whatever. Sorry, that didn't stop the recording. How do I stop recording? I go stop recording.